All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another SLG Meetup. Today I have the privilege to be not with a regular CEO. We have the Chief Executive Lion of Black Lion, Robert Rivani. We're here in one beautiful property here in the Ritz-Carlton in Miami Beach, and he's going to tell us all about how he has become a massive, successful entrepreneur when it comes to real estate. So thank you for having me here.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for interviewing me. I love it.
I mean, I got to start with your look. You are quite a unique, successful CEO, right? Like, I don't get to see people like you with such much confidence.
Yeah.
And that confidence is what has led you to become one of the leading players in the real estate space.
For sure. Yeah, look, I think from a young age, I always, I don't know if you know, I started a shoe business. And I love shoes and I love design and fashion. And I always wanted to be myself in whichever way I could. And as the years had gone on, you know, starting like every entrepreneur, you always want to be in the suit, the tie, look as professional as you can be. And it's like, if you don't wear that, you look down upon, like they won't interview you. And you know, it's tough. When you're young, they won't. But when you get to a certain net worth and money, you can kind of do whatever the hell you want.
Exactly.
For good or for bad. But no, I love this style. You know, it's not for everybody. The mohawk, the beard, the whole nine. It only actually happened the past 2 years, believe it or not, during COVID.
Well, but look, it goes really well with your brand, Black Lion.
Thank you.
Just tell us what it really means. What's behind that brand?
So Black Lion originally started that growing up, I was always the black sheep of the family. I was the black sheep of my friends. I always had weird ideas, crazy things, shoe business, entrepreneur. I like to do my hair a certain way. And I'm like, well, that black sheep kept sticking with me. But I'm like, black sheep investment group doesn't sound very sexy. And I love lions. I love that whole, you know, king of the jungle kind of vibe. And I'm like, okay, well, Black Lion sounds a lot better. Yeah. And then, you know, it's crazy. This many years later, you're at Ritz-Carlton where the logos kind of look similar and that whole 9 yards. And it's nuts how it all came together. And it actually happened in like a dream of mine. I'm like, oh, I'm going to call it Black Lion. And one thing led to another, and I became the Black Lion.
How did you really got into real estate?
So I first got into real estate through property management. It was more of like the, you know, other developers, other properties, their bread and butter wasn't the managing of the properties. And I was gifted at a very young age with math, and I wanted to get into accounting. So I was a bookkeeper and a secretary, I guess you could almost say in the beginning. Was just dialing numbers. At that time, a lot of people, not a lot, but some people in around the Southern California area still used paperback books for, hey, a check comes in, write the check number, write the corresponding if it was a deposit, wasn't deposited. And it would be hard to see all the rental income because you're just going based upon a rent roll and based upon what comes in and what goes out. So there was a computer program at the time that I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to come into this company that the people didn't really know how to use computers that well for the AR and AP. So I converted it all into a computer program, and I ended up finding like $600,000 in lost income over an 8-year span from the books. And I ended up getting 10% of that. So I made like $60,000 off it. I'm like, I think at the time I was like 18 or 17. I was like, It's a great way to make money.
Exactly.
But what I started realizing as I got older and got into it more is I'm thinking about the pennies of making management fees of 2-3% potential if I want to start my own, or do I want to be like that developer that just made 2, 3, 4, 5 million on a deal? So I thought to myself, it's like, there's no way I'm going to be able to get to that degree in my life unless I gain knowledge. I had no high school degree, I had no college degree. And I'm like, okay, well, what's the one thing I can get? It's as much knowledge as possible, learn as much as I can. So when I'm ready to do it on my own, you're not just going into something blindly and making a mistake. So that was like the most important the time for me was to just say, and what I tell all the people that follow me is just try to learn as much as you can. Learn. Because you can give someone $1 million and invest and they have no idea what they're doing and lose it all, or be the guy that knows a lot but starts small but can do it really quickly because you know everything.
Right. Now, obviously, what you've done is to differentiate yourself. You come from California, now you're here in Miami. Like, what made you make that move?
Oh man, 1,000 reasons, but a few of the bigger ones is LA is falling apart. The economy there, while it may be strong, there's a huge surplus. When you're actually there, it's falling apart. The homeless crisis is horrible. The government's not backing you up for investments. When COVID hit, everything was shut down. Small businesses suffered, larger businesses suffered, and it didn't seem like they wanted to help. Versus you looked at South Florida and Florida as a whole, and you're like, wow, the government's giving you the choice. At least you have the choice to do what you want to do. Whether you want to stay home and lock up or you want to go out, whatever it is, you have the choice. not to mention the state income tax. You're not paying 14% of your income, and that money could be used on future deals. So it's actually costing you way more than 14%, because if you're making, say, $5 million a year, $10 million a year, you're putting hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars away that you could have otherwise bought another $3 million, $4 million property. So it's all that growth. And you know, the opportunity for international business, especially in my industry where it's hospitality, a lot of restaurateurs don't think of coming to LA first. It's New York. Recently, it's been Miami. LA's, you know, hospitality scene's a little bit different just because of when people go to bed and the turnover. Miami is alive 24/7, and I love it.
I mean, you just got like amazing locations in South Florida. I mean, here in Miami alone, you were like in front of the Continuum, also in the 1000 Museum.
Yeah.
Like great things happening, right?
Yeah, I'm very excited. I mean, the restaurant part of the company, because I actually do luxury residential. I own a house in Carbon Beach, Malibu, and then I do shopping centers, these large power centers with Walmart and Lowe's and McDonald's and all these big, you know, $400,000 or $500,000 square foot properties. But my passion is the hospitality scene. And growing up, one of my favorite games to play was Monopoly.
Cool.
So I was like, okay, I love Monopoly.
How can I apply this?
How can I apply that? Right? Like it's the fun. Like I told my wife, it's a funny story. She's like, you know, you're still a kid and a child at heart. I'm like, yeah, I know. But if like you look at Miami as a board, it's actually, even though Miami's as big as it is, it's actually a pretty small city.
Right, correct.
It's a very small city. Like I didn't realize coming from, you know, from LA where everything's 30, 45 minutes apart and it's like really different markets. Brickell to Wynwood to Edgewater to Design District is all within 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's great, but it's a different submarket with different residences, different way of living. Like Wynwood living is so much different than Brickell versus South of Fifth. It's just, it's nuts. So when I looked at the map and when I first started my career, I said, okay, we're starting in Brickell where we did Delilah. And we ended up buying SLS where we did Gecko with David Grutman and Bad Bunny. And that was a huge success. I'm like, I need to continue this. So we bought in Wynwood and we're doing 2 nightlife hospitality brands in there. And then we have in Amara, Michael Schwartz, who's a James Beard award-winning chef, and that's, to me, one of the most beautiful properties in the country. But what I'm proud of the most is what we're doing on South Point Drive, south of Fifth, because south of Fifth is, I'm sure you know, it's like one of the highest income neighborhoods. Super exciting, great area residents, but you know, only as of recent, you know, Carbone opened, Poppy Steak opened, which really brought new energy. But South Point Drive had been empty since inception for the most part. There was a dart bar of the Continuum, which you mentioned, and it's like, who brings a dart bar to south of Fifth in front of the Continuum? Makes no sense, right? But that's what's the differentiation between a developer like me versus a developer who just wants to check in the mail. It's like, hey, I'm going to put this tenant here. I want to check in the mail. I'm happy. Versus how I look at it is like, okay, no, this is Boardwalk. This is Park Place. This is Pennsylvania. This is the best block in Miami.
Mr. Monopoly right here.
Yeah, it's like this is what I'm excited about. So we ended up doing Red Steakhouse, Ko Sushi, which is a Michelin star sushi restaurant out of Brazil, Gaia from Dubai, which is one of the largest hospitality brands in Dubai, and we're doing Catch in 20,000 square feet, which is going to be one of the most exciting announcements to announce. It's going to be unbelievable what that block is going to turn into. And then next week we're buying One Ocean, which is the building right across the street.
Really? So what are your thoughts on the mayor of Miami, Francis?
He's amazing. I actually hosted an event for him in Los Angeles at the castle. So I had the honor of doing that and hosting an event for him, and it was amazing. Look, when you look at Mayor Francis, he almost feels like he's one of you, right? Younger guy, super impressionable. Very involved. And look what he's done for the city, right? He came out and was single-handedly saying, I'm going to steal the tech from San Francisco. I'm going to steal the big brands. This city is open. Let's do it. Versus the local municipalities in California were like, things are closed. We don't care. You know, fend for yourself. It is what it is. And it was inspiring. And, you know, that's what led me to making over, I think, at this point, almost $150 million in investments in the city.
Wow. What is your thoughts on education?
Without getting too politically into it, I think what the United States education system is trying to teach people is how to be slaves within the community. And what I mean by that is, it is mind-blowing to me that some of the most basic things when you come out of school, buying a home, leasing a car, buying a car, understanding finance, are not taught as basic level things, right? Like, you are a human being trying to build and provide for a family, and they don't teach you how to buy a home. They don't understand teach you how an escrow works, or, you know, variable financing. What happened in 2008? one of the biggest crashes because of variable financing. Well, if we had educated people on how that works, do you think they would have done that? Probably not. Yeah, exactly. Trigonometry and shit like that is more important than the basics of that. And that's what I started learning in school, was that when is this actually real world applicable, right? Real estate, they don't teach you anything in school unless you're going to a master's course or something like that. That you're not getting that in school. So what a lot of the younger generation is doing is listening to people like myself, people like you, or you can come and obtain knowledge from real people who are actually doing it day in and day out, that are applicable, where you can go out and make money, versus this stupid education system that really doesn't try to expand the breadth of your knowledge. Don't get me wrong, for lawyers or doctors or things that are super specialized,
makes total sense.
Makes total sense. But the entrepreneurial mind, when are they going to make a major in entrepreneurship? Mm-hmm. Like, when are they going to make stuff about, like, well, this is the way to make money and be successful? And that's unfortunate. Like, even like savings on taxes and learning how, that way you're not just trusting an accountant, that when you're making 6-figure income, how do I depreciate a property? How do I use tax benefits to my advantage to open up an LLC or something like that? That's never taught.
What are some of the biggest takeaways that you've learned throughout your career?
Biggest takeaways, first and foremost, like we talked about, knowledge is power. Knowledge is king. Learn. Stay focused. Try to nix alcohol, and even though it's still a tough one for me.
I was going to say hospitality.
It's tough. Look, it's tough. But at the end of the day, the one thing I've learned is distractions, whether it's women, men, alcohol, things that take you away from your bread and butter will only lead to your demise. Mm-hmm. They're not there to benefit you or help you. For me, for a long time, with all honesty, drinking was my outlet to de-stress. And as I got older, that only put me down a vicious rabbit hole. It didn't help, right? And now it's like, okay, my wife is like, you need to meditate. I'm like, okay.
Do the breathing.
I'm like, margarita sounds a lot better, but fine. But no, honestly, it's longevity, right? Because it's not just a 1 or 2 year thing, especially in real estate. I've been into this 15 years now. Like, you will burn out. It's tough. It's keeping your mental health right, your body right, physically active. My wife's a dietitian, so it's really important to keep the home.
You're in good hands.
I'm in very good hands, because like if I think about it, if you start eating bad, drinking bad, going out a lot, partying, something is going to fall apart. And if that something ends up being your career and you're not 100% focused, think about if you're one of 100 people trying to do the same thing, and those people eat, breathe, sleep what they do, don't take time off, don't party, don't drink, 100% focused at all times, who's going to win?
Exactly. Let me ask you about the word luxury, because that's something that I ask every time. Right. What is really luxury to you?
Luxury to me is being able to be a part of something, buy something that, or something that's not easily accessible by all. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is, a lot of people can take a vacation to Paris, but a lot of people can't stay in Versailles Palace.
Correct.
Right? A lot of people can go have Chinese food, but can't go to the best Chinese restaurant in the country. So I think luxury is those things that you work above and beyond for, that is almost like you did a great job, bravo, and you get like the ultra luxurious piece that nobody else can get. Or like a Ferrari. Everyone can drive a car, but do you want the Ferrari or the Lamborghini? Right. So it's a little bit of that the things that you work your ass off for throughout your life, they're like, I've earned this, I can get something that not everybody else can.
I think that's completely aligned with your brand and with everything that you're preaching and doing, which is pretty interesting, because at the end of the day, you want people that believe in your vision, that you can also help with their needs. So it all ties together. Now, obviously, I want to ask you, what's next? What's next for Black Lion? What's next for you?
You mean after total restaurant domination?
Yeah, after winning the monopoly.
So I think what's next is I love the speaking and the events and being out there and expanding the brand. I definitely want to get in the hotel business, or a type of business that revamps and looks at hospitality, that a hotel is fully integrated with restaurants and events and parties and all that stuff. That's what I'm totally most excited about at this time. But for now, it's just making sure the whole entire monopoly board in Miami is complete. We have a couple more areas we want to get into to finalize it, but that's the bread and butter for now.
Well, I wish you nothing but success. I appreciate your time, and I can't wait to see you win that monopoly.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Make sure you follow Robert. Legend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Peace.